Hey everyone, welcome. So let's go. So why most Amazon sellers feel overwhelmed is that and seller track more number thinking it gives control. So a lot of sellers think that if they look at a lot of data and all of them, then they have a lot of control. But actually there's not that not the case. Then the goal is to reduce uncertainty and good matrices simplify decisions. So bad matrices actually add a lot of noise, which create uncertainty, and you have to rush for noise. So we need to avoid those and stick to the ones which are more important for the business. Matrices I check weekly. So I check revenue. Revenue is very important, and we need to see how the revenue numbers are going up or drop. So this is the most important one, and we need to check whether this is a stable revenue or it's a fragility. Like it is moving for a certain period. There are some events going on, some holidays, so the revenue can be fragile. The next one is the contribution margin reveal risk tolerance. So we need to look at the profit margins. We need to see that what's the bottom line for us, and these contribution usually help us in revealing the risk, because if we have money, then we can spend more. If we are just break even, then there is no point of doing the business. Then the next one would be to the PPC spend concentration, highlights exposure. We'll also see the PPC spend, how much we are spending, because this spend will actually expose our product to the right customers. So we need to see how much of them we are exposing them. And it can be contributed with the impression share and the number of search volume we got. So we can have a comparison. Later on, we'll get into much more details of these things. But for now, we need to look at just at the top level, which is the revenue, margin, PPC spend, and next one is the inventory coverage. So we'll also have to check that whether we have the inventory in line or we are just running out of stock. If we are running out of stock, then there is no point of running ads on a specific product or looking at the revenue, because we are now getting out of stock. The next one is view velocity, which indicates the listing health. So we need to check the review velocity, and we need to see if the competitors are giving us any reality checks or not. But meanwhile, we need to look at the reviews, and it will give us a positive ahead, or maybe there is some point that customer don't like, so we can update those in the next shipment. Then why these metrics matter? So it's also an explanation of the matrices I choose, why these matter, because they show whether the business is under control easily. So we can highlight those problems very easy with these matrices. And they also guide us weekly priorities. If the product's underperforming, we need to check whether the spend is going right on it or not, or what's the issue with the revenue, or the margins are not tight. So it's also correlate with one another, or maybe the inventory just came back and we need to get those rankings again. So without them, decisions become reactive. Like we cannot decide based on these matrices that I just discussed. So next one is some of the matrices I also check occasionally. So I wanted to also give you an analysis of them. Like they are used to investigate specific issues. So some of the issues, some of the matrices I also check are related to the inventory. So we have inbound inventory, and then we have some of the fees related to the inbound fees. We have fees related to the extra storage we are doing. So these fees also need to be tackled, and we need to check the daily sales velocity of every product, so we can be on top of the reviews. Also, is one of the important ones. So they help to diagnose and not daily management. We just need to have a look and see how the numbers looking. for us, then checking too often create distraction. And we also don't need to check it too often. The weekly analysis will be better to go over things, but we do not need to do it daily because there is a lot of noise and we need to avoid those noise. We don't need to do extra work. We need to do the right amount of work at the right amount of time. They explain why something happened. So these matters also tell that if something happened, let's say we have a negative rating, so we can see what's wrong with the product. If there is an issue with the buy box, so we can also check that if there is some hijacker on our listing or not. There are a lot of other issues came across, like sometimes Amazon remove your images. There are also some compliance issues, and there is some issues with your bullet descriptions as well. So you need to be on top of your product listing, at least check them once a week. So all of those things are being aligned with one another. There's also one thing you will need to check is the conversion rate. So every product has a specific conversion rate, and if that numbers is varying a lot from the average, then we need to look what's the problem with that, and we need to fix that problem as soon as possible. Now, matrices I mostly ignore are the daily fluctuation without context. So there can be some of the fluctuations, like something like holiday season came up. So usually there is a lot of, eventually there will be high numbers. So, or maybe there is like holiday, or maybe there is an political rise or some voting is going on in the country, then people are not going to buy on that day. So it's obvious that it is going to happen like that. So we need to keep that in line. The next is vanity ranking. So sometimes the ranking can go high or low based on daily. So we need to sum up and come up to a weekly analysis and see if those numbers are making sense or not. So we can ignore the daily vanity rankings. Then isolated numbers without trends and matrices that cause stress without action. So we also can ignore a lot of matrices that are just creating noise, that are not necessary for the business. We can just skip those. Now, the real goal is that matrices should reduce chaos. The right metrics make Amazon predictable. Clarity enables systems and automation, and understanding creates control. So we need to make sure that the right metrics are predictable, and we will be on top of that. Then we need to create a system and automation that gives us clarity of that of that matrices. So we are on top of those matrices every time, and we need to understand those. So we are control we have control in our business, rather than it's just uncontrollable and we are just spending, and the spending is going into the waste. So the final thought is that ignore noise, focus on decisions, build systems that help you control those matrices, and better thinking leads to better outcomes. So you need to understand your matrices first and then decide on those matrices. And once you decide, before deciding, you need to understand those matrices, that matrices are good enough for you, and it is leading to somewhere success. If it's not, then come up with a successful strategy. And once you build those strategies and those understanding based on those numbers, and you also ignore the vanity matrices, then stick and take a decision, and it will lead to a better outcomes. So yeah, guys, this is it from this video. I hope you guys have learned from this video. If you have any question, drop down in the comment section below, and I'll answer all of your questions. So till next video, bye.